Anyway, here comes December of 1991, right? And it was a new era for the Pro Wrestling Spotlight as Vince Russo joins the team. You'll hear about it in a clip that's coming up very soon. He is announced at first as, quote, someone who's going to help out a lot. That's the way you put it, John, on the show. And soon a lot of changes are about to occur. And on this episode, you've got a cold. You've got the flu or something. You remember how sick you were when you recorded this episode?
I knew I was pretty out of it. I had something was going on. There was a flu or a bug or whatever it was. But I wasn't feeling very well.
No, you weren't. And you noted on this show that Hulk Hogan had just lost the WWF title to The Undertaker at the Survivor Series. And that was a big deal. But you're about to welcome a sponsor named Vinny Russo, who was about to make an announcement. And we have the clip here. And
let's give it a shot.
Listen to this.
We're going to introduce somebody to you right now that who's one of our sponsors here at the Pro Wrestling Spotlight. And Chris, he'll be on this mic right here, right across from me. Thank you very much. His name is Vinny Russo. Vinny, how you doing?
Okay, John, how are you today?
Okay, you were one of the sponsors of Pro Wrestling Spotlight. We booked Honky Tonk Man at your store, one of your stores. You have two out there.
Right, I have two stores, one in Coram and one in Lake Ronkonkoma.
And you had approached me several weeks ago when I got this Cactus Jack. I guess we were putting together the Cactus Jack Eddie Gilbert video, which we have on sale, and you graciously invited us into your facility to edit it and put it all together, the voiceover and graphics and all of that. But you've been a wrestling fan for a long time, and you came to me and asked if there's anything that we could possibly do together. And pleased to announce to the fans that you'll be part of the Pro Wrestling Spotlight family and heading up, first and foremost, our merchandising department out in Willow Throw Videoland.
Right, John. We had put together the Cactus Jack Eddie Gilbert video, and since the orders were already coming in, we had to do it in quite a hurry to get the video out to the people. What we're going to be trying to do in the future is to set up a Pro Wrestling Spotlight videotape once a month where we might highlight a wrestler or two. Over the air, we'll let you know what is going to be the video for that month, and you'll be able to order it by either calling into the show or writing into the show. But it's going to be produced. It's going to come in a nice case. There'll be special effects added to it. They should run it an hour and a half to 2 hours long, and it'll be well worth. It should be put in a collection of any wrestling fan out there.
Yeah, the series that we're starting up, we call wrestling the early days of different wrestling personalities. We have already gotten Jim Cornette and Eddie Gilbert, Cactus Jack, and several others to give us early footage from their careers. And we'll be making it available to you folks right here at the Pro Wrestling Spotlight. And Vinny, also, we've talked about a newsletter, about beginning a newsletter for everybody out there. Two heads are often better than one, and I got enough things to do. Just getting the show on and keeping it on. As you know, it's very difficult to be here. We're going to have but I appreciate you, approaching me with this stuff, and, just welcome to the Pro Wrestling Spotlight family.
Thank you, John. One thing I'd like to add, I have been producing the Cactus Jack Eddie Gilbert video, and for those wrestling fans out there, as I'm sure you all are, this is a video of matches that you will not see any place on TV. Just incredible matches of Cactus Jack and Eddie Gilbert. It's 2 hours of video time, and definitely worthwhile to any video fan to buy and have in their collection. And John can give you the address, where to write or call in to purchase this tape. But it's something you really should see and something you'd want to hold on for a number of years.
Yeah, it's a great collector's item, and of course it includes opening up the tape somewhere in America 1985 of Cactus leaping off his house. And we'll be giving you the information to get that video later on. Vinny, you came here today and gave us a shipment of them. So anybody who's ordered them out there, we did send out a shipment last week.
I think you guys went on to bigger things after that.
Yeah.
I think that was heavily doctored, Mr. Arezzi. Heavily doctored that tape.
You think I did?
We sound like two 15-year-old kids, bro.
We were younger.
That's funny.
I'm going to hold this up. The people who are listening to the podcast can't. But I was on eBay recently. But this is a different cover. It's a different package. But this is the tape that we were talking about.
Oh, my God. There it is.
And I found it on eBay. And it was like $20. And I was like, you know what? Because when I was listening to this, I said, that tape has got to be out there. But the original packaging, no. I mean, I found this version of it.
Yeah.
And it was called Extreme Hardcore. So somebody bootlegged it, and I found it, and I got it, and I'm looking forward to having it digitized so we could share it with people. I mean,
you know, it's funny, John, if that was the first time I was ever on radio, and this is the God honest truth, okay, with everything I did in my career, writing the magazine, writing, the Attitude Era, even being an on-screen character, John, I got to tell you, I don't know what it was. And it's great listening to that first show. John, I fell in love with radio. I literally fell in love with radio. Out of everything that I had done, including like being an on-screen character, I would have taken a position at a radio station over all of that. And it's funny, John, because I can't tell you why. Like, I can't put my finger on what it is, but it's great to listen to that first, because to this day, that's my passion, and that's what I really always wanted to do.
Vince, when the WWF had their radio show for a while there, it was syndicated on a number of channels. Did you ever think about becoming a regular on there?
Yeah, you know what, Donnie? I even think I pitched Vince that once, because I do remember that, and I think I pitched Vince about that, but it never happened. But gosh, bro, from that first day, John, I just fell in love with it, and I couldn't even tell you why.
It gets in your blood. It really does.
Yeah.
The one thing I wanted to ask you, based on that first and subsequent episodes you appeared on this month, and of course over the WEVD, is I always called you Vinny. I never called you Vince. I mean, did that upset you, or were you called Vinny at all?
Oh God, no. I was always called Vinny. I was always called Vinny my whole life. I was called Vinny in college. I really wasn't started calling Vince till really WWE. And I'll never get, you guys will appreciate this. My first couple of weeks there, everybody's calling me Russo. And I finally was like, what's with the Russo? And I'll never forget, Vince's secretary pulled me aside and said, Vince, nobody can call you Vince. There can only be one Vince. And I was like, are you like, that was my first look into, like, are you people out of your minds? Like, nobody else here can have the same name as Vince McMahon. That's when I knew what I was getting myself into.
But you were able to use the name Vince, and
yes, I was. Yes.
And there you go. The rest is history. It's crazy. But this first episode for December, when we announced all of this, was for both of us personally. It was kind of a different road that we're about to both travel on together. Short-lived, but here we are today.
You know what? I think what bound us together, I think, and I think you said it earlier, John, even back then to right now in our lives, bro, we were both hustling.
Yeah.
Putting that DVD together, we were both hustling. We were both doing whatever we had to do to make a living. And I think that holds true for both of us 30 years later.
Yeah. Well, I certainly would like to invite you back occasionally. Whenever you want to come on, it'd be my pleasure. And I don't know if we want to readdress this after the shit hits the fan, in March of next year. But I think what we're doing is really important for the fans out there. And I certainly know that you have a big fan base, and the people that I have. I never had the national TV exposure, but I always had really a hardcore fan base, John Arezzi fan base of really dedicated hardcore fans. So I think this is really great for them to hear that, after all these years, that after everything that's been written and the things we said about each other, in your book, in my book, and the fact that in the end of 2018, we were able to talk and open up a crack in that door and then get together in Denver and get a painting from you a year later. And my nephew is always loved you, revered you, and you know, he joined your baseball fantasy league this year, and so I mean, the friendship that has developed since I came back in at the end of 2018. I mean, I was like, you know what, nothing is more important to me in my life than to have a great relationships with people, even if you had problems in the past and differences of opinion and philosophy, and we did. But the fact that we can get on a phone with each other and do a show like this and talk about those days, for me, I mean, that is a blessing to me. And I know that you're a Christian, you're a man of God, and and so for me, this is really a special thing, and I want to thank you
Yeah.
for
You
coming
know,
on.
John, it's funny because for, you know, a couple of things. I mean, first of all, life is just too short. And I have to tell you, John, I became a Christian, man, I late. I think I was about 42 years old, almost 20 years ago. And John, I got to tell you, man, and this is the God honest truth. And so many people tried to start, you know, fights and wars, you know, me and Cornette and me and Bischoff or me and this one. I got to tell you, John, that the second I became a Christian, one thing that happened to me in my life was I wasn't even capable of hate anymore. The hate I had in my body just kind of went. People like you know, man, I get it all the time. You know, Vince, when are you and Cornette going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Bro, I would talk if Jim Cornette were on here right now. I would have a conversation. There is nobody that I wouldn't talk to. I don't have animosity or hostility or hate in my body anymore. It just doesn't exist. So that's why, Matt Kuhn was the one that
Yes.
no way in the world I would have said no. I mean, there was absolutely no way in the world, because the fact of the matter is what I try to always do now, the older I get, is you got to put yourselves in the shoes of the other person. So I wanted to hear your story and what you were feeling and the thoughts. There's no way in the world I would have not had that conversation with you. But yet we're in a business where a lot of people hold grudges till the day they die. And I just am not that guy, man.
I'm the same way. I mean, I don't have hate in my heart for anybody, and I just don't. It's just not in my DNA. I
Yep.
did it one time in my life,
Yep.
years ago, back in the 90s. But I can't put myself, I can't even picture myself hating anyone, because I don't. And I just try to live my life in a very peaceful manner, and enjoy the days that I have here, because no one knows what tomorrow brings.
Mhm.
And you can analyze the past, but I'm like, I am so content with where I am, and the wrestling bubble, this bubble that exists, where people love to hate on people, and they love to, I mean, I love wrestling, and I've said it on this show, and I've said it in many interviews that I've done, but I hate the business of wrestling. I hate the business of wrestling. And I, experienced it myself this year with my show being pulled because I was talking to somebody, and there's a lot of one-sided hatred, and picking on and saying things, and even the guy that pulled the plug on my show. I mean, I don't hate him. I'm grateful for the opportunity he gave me for 2 years.
Yeah.
I hated the way it ended, and I hate the way he still says things about me. But he has to look at himself in the mirror every day. I'm not going to hate back, and I'm not going to get into the mud with anyone. I mean, I'm happy with what I'm doing. This show is being embraced by listeners, and it's a very peaceful show. And that's just my DNA today. I'm very happy in my own skin. And I said it to you before, and I'll say it here again. I appreciate the fact that we are now in a place that we should have been at 30 years ago.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, I agree 100%.